Have you ever found yourself just sitting on the dock of the bay, wondering how the hell you got there? On July 11th, 2018, my beautiful, creative, caring, sweet first child, my daughter Emily Ann Brennan, came out as being gay. So she dropped the L-bomb on me when I was visiting her in New York City, where they were living at the time, and very strategically picked this funky little bistro with a jazz trio, knowing that I love music and it could be a good distraction once she gave me the news. Now, I have to preface this by saying I'm Em's #1 fan and her greatest advocate. However, it wasn't shocking when Em told me that she was gay. And I don't want to gender stereotype, but I'm old, so when Em was little, and I took her shopping for a communion dress, she looked around Nordstrom, and she's very thoughtful and a little bit shy. She's looking around, and she looks right up at me with these big, blue, beautiful eyes, and asked, "Do they have any communion pantsuits?" Okay. So, wore the dress begrudgingly, and another little bit of a red flag was Em would only shop on the boys' side of the Gap. So, and I just let Em do whatever Em wanted, got a little grief for it from the parents, but most often was in a backwards baseball cap, in long gym shorts, and just being Em. Back to the Jazz Bistro. My mind, of course, was just trying to absorb all the information. I wasn't shocked, but just a lot to absorb and integrate. I didn't really sleep well that night, and this is when Em kind of first moved to New York, so I was sort of like in this loft situation, and when I had her little New York apartment, and when I asked if they had a blanket, they said, "Oh yeah, it's right down there," which was a sheet rolled up in a ball. So I'm shivering, and as I'm going down multiple rabbit holes in my head, not really sleeping much, we woke up the next morning and headed to the Kelly and Ryan Seacrest show. So I got to check that off my box. Still, my mind was reeling a little, and it must have shown in my face because I showed one of my best friends who's here and has helped hold my hand through my journey, in Em's journey, looked at the picture, and in her very blunt way, loving, caring way, but blunt, started to laugh and said, "Oh my God, Em looks so calm and happy and centered and zen, but you look like you just saw a ghost." And I only share this because I don't want to sugarcoat being the parent of somebody coming out. And if, you go through stages, and again, I'm literally her #1 advocate, but it's still, as a parent, it can be, it can kind of shake you a little. So we all adjusted to this new normal. Everybody in the family, my other 2 kids, my parents, siblings were very, very accepting and supportive. You see, we were all already card-carrying allies of the LGBTQIA+ community because my youngest sister had come out as being gay 20-ish, 5-ish years. I'm really bad with numbers. Remember, I'm a yoga instructor, and that's chaturanga, Jody. And as probably the only person on the southwest side of Chicago 25 years ago is coming out as lesbian, I have such admiration for my sister. And so Katie, my baby sister, paved the way, paved the rainbow path for Em. So we all adjusted to this. 2 years later, I get a call from Katie, and she says, "Have you seen Em's Instagram?" To which I nervously replied with my hands shaking, "Oh no." To which Katie replied, "Well, you might want to check it out, because she's wearing like a white man's t-shirt with no bra and all these photos of her and something about being NB and non-binary. Now remember, he's a revolutionary. Nobody really knew what this was whenever this was, years ago. So my first thought was, I'm going to grandfather in my parents to this. We're going to just stick with the lesbian thing, because I don't know how I'm going to explain to my conservative Southside Irish father, who's a butcher, blue collar, and my mother, who's a sweet Irish lass. So we're going to grandfather them into this. But Katie, for some reason, decided she wanted to explain it to my dad. So imagine explaining non-binary to an 80-year-old, very, very conservative Italian butcher, Southside. So Katie says, Dad, listen, there's something going on now. You can't call Emily M anymore. And my nephew had just come out too as being non-binary. You can't call Luke anymore. Luke is L, Emily's M. Emily isn't she anymore. Emily's they, Luke isn't he, Luke is L is they. And my father, who was a man of very few words, sat there listening, looks at the ground, looks at Katie and says, I'll tell you what I'm going to call them. I'm going to call them assholes. My father is a very loving, open man, and actually handled my sister coming out as gay the best in the entire. He's great in a crises, but again, needed a beat to absorb this new information. So we finally wrap our brains around Emily's M. We screwed the pronouns up all the time, but we were all kind of getting in the hang of it. And then, as COVID was slowly fading off into the sunset, the dust was settling, M drops the trans bomb on me. I had just tested positive in a home COVID test, so I wasn't really at the top of my game. My other two kids were kind of being assholes to me. My oldest daughter not returning my calls, texts, and my son had just informed me that he lied about getting the second or third or whatever fucking vaccine we were on at the time. So as I drove myself to the primary care center, forgetting that it was the Pride Parade, and I live up in Lakeview, so for anyone who knows, it's a traffic shitstorm. So I'm all about signs and symbols, but that kind of blew it for me. So with my COVID cough, in a full body sweat, I'm winding my way, snaking my way around festive floats, rainbow colored shirts, trying to be in the moment, absorbing the trans news with COVID. So I call my mom in a frenzy. My mom is like, what is going on? In tears, Molly's ghosting me. I have COVID. Jake lied about getting the third vaccine, and Emily's a man. My sweet 80-year-old Irish mother, who had just survived a global pandemic, very quietly said, what was that last thing you said? Emily's in a band? So the next few months, I fielded all the trans questions. Are they getting the surgery? Are they going to be he? Are they taking the hormones? Yada, 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 yada. So Em was taking hormones, and as a professional worrier and a professional therapist, and I spend all day teaching tips and tools on how to reframe your negative thoughts, nothing was working. I mean, I was like whack-a-mole with all my ruminating thoughts. But eventually I wrapped my brain around it, talked to Em a lot about it, learned about information, and in honor of Pride Month, I just wanted to share a couple thoughts. If you are going through this as a parent, it's okay to be shocked. And sometimes you do have to grieve the child that isn't around anymore. Is still around, but not the same one that you remember. And when Em came home for Christmas, his voice was a little bit deeper, was going to a wedding and wore a man's suit. And the first time I saw Em, the beautiful long blonde hair was chopped into a really cute short haircut, dark. And then I saw Em in the suit, and I looked into those big, beautiful blue eyes that were still the same. I swallowed hard, and I thought to myself, this is your baby. This is when he needs you most. And I want to end with this quick story about my dad. It was a transformation for the entire family. I had a conversation after Em was home for Christmas, and my dad means well, but his delivery isn't good, right? Italian, it just gets right to the point. Lisa, I got a question for you, which always is a trigger for me. I'm like, oh God, here we go. What's that, Dad? Is Emily taking those hormones? Oh, fuck. In my head, I'm asking, do I really want to go there with him? I'm teaching people about boundaries. This is a boundary I need to protect. But I figured, you know what? He's trying. So I said, yeah, Dad, Em's taking the hormones. To which he replied, oh yeah, I could tell. Her voice was getting a little bit deeper. Now, is she going to get one of those operations, do you think? And then again, swallowed hard. He's trying. Dad, you know what? We don't talk about it much, but all he has mentioned is maybe the top operation. Okay. Well, you know what? You tell Em if they need any help paying for that, I got his back. And as my eyes flooded with tears, I said, Dad, this is mind-blowing that you are not only so accepting, but you're willing to contribute to the operation fund. To which he replied, oh, of course, Em, my first granddaughter, was always my girlfriend. Now, I guess he's my boyfriend. Thank you.
At the age of 5, I was the prettiest girl of all the folks alive. Now I'm a man, age 21, and you know, baby, I have a lot of fun, because I'm a man. Yeah, I spell M A N man. Now all you pretty women, stand in line. I can make love to you, baby, in an hour's time. 'Cause I'm a man.